10 years ago, I drove up 11 hours from Louisville, Kentucky, longing to empower students to master mathematical concepts and increase reading levels with a sense of urgency. I could not wait. I was greeted with Pat's cheesesteaks with provolone and onions, many parking tickets, South Street, 52nd Street, and an opportunity to explore a great city. I began teaching at Barrett Middle School in South Philadelphia. I was there for 3 years, and I've spent the last 7 years teaching in Southwest Philadelphia Elementary School, Morton Elementary, and now I've taught 5th grade for 5 years, and now I'm the school-based teacher leader, and I currently hold my Pennsylvania Administrator Certificate. Today I want to leave with you a 4-letter acronym, R.E.A.L, R-E.A.L. The R stands for relentless, the E stands for exposure, the A stands for ask questions and ask for help, and the L stands for love. Throughout my years, this acronym embodies my experience. I work in one of the poorest zip codes in Philadelphia. No matter how hard you try to hide some things about yourself or your feelings about your current or your soon-to-be students, they will see through you like an HD TV on Super Bowl Sunday. So it's important to be real. Let's start with R for relentless. I have learned that relentlessness drives student achievement, investment, and results. In my classroom and out of the classroom, now as a school-based teacher leader, I try to be relentless. I've had co-workers telling me, you're working too hard, slow down, eat lunch, or I'm going to get you a pair of skates. One example of relentlessness was when I was teaching 5th grade. I had 35 students in my classroom. 70% of them were reading at least a grade level and a half below level. 75% of them were ELL's, English language learners. I knew I had to be relentless so all of them could be proficient or advanced on the PSSA, the Principal System of School Assessment. I held after-school tutoring sessions for ELL students, worked with my students during my preparation period. We had working lunch sessions. I attended ELL professional developments, read books like The Inner World of the Immigrant Child, worked with our ELL pull-out teachers, invested my husband in the classroom to work with students, had multicultural day in my classroom, and did everything in my power to help my students learn. I remember one student in particular, Samika, who was new to the country, who could not speak any English at home, and came from war-torn Liberia. He needed phonological awareness and phonics while still being exposed to grade-level state standards. So Samika had his own set of flashcards, and he had students quiz him on sight words as he even entered the building. My little Samika was a pre-primer kindergarten level when he entered my classroom. He stayed in my classroom for 2 years and left reading at the end of a 3rd grade level. And at the end of my school year, every student in my class made at least 1.5 years growth in reading. My class met their Pennsylvania state target for English language learners that year. My classroom was a second home for students. Relentlessness is doing whatever it takes to create an atmosphere of learning. The E is for exposure. Exposure is vital, and it goes hand in hand with student learning and mastery. In my experience, many of our students have never even left their neighborhoods. While teaching a lesson to a group of kindergartners, I asked them, where is the White House? And who lives in it? They responded by saying, President Obama. But they couldn't tell me where it was located. After working very diligently with the Secret Service agent, their teachers secured a date for our students to go to the White House. I wanted our students to be prepared for what they would explore and ask plenty of questions. I was able to show them a virtual tour of the White House and show them all of the rooms they would see and the functions of each room. Many of them wanted to know if they would meet President Obama. Well, we made it to the White House last March, and it blew their minds. They were able to learn about the dimensions and square footage of the White House, view many photos from previous presidents, see the steps that led to the first family's living quarters, learn that there is a 24-hour florist whose job is solely to water the flowers of the White House. And lastly, they were able to see Bo, the first dog. Exposure in this sense has now built prior knowledge for these students. Now we can talk about the Constitution or law, and they now have a foundation to build upon it. Exposure also meant introducing them to where I came from and dispelling a few myths. Many of my students asked me if people in Kentucky wore shoes. When I went home for spring break, I made a video all about Kentucky. and I took them to my hometown to show them the Derby Museum, Muhammad Ali's birthplace, and that we do indeed wear shoes. We must not talk about it, but we have to show them. Teaching goes beyond the classroom. Exposure will empower our students. The A is for ask. In this quest to make significant gains, you have to ask questions and ask for help. Our second years will tell you that you don't have all the answers, and this experience is very humbling. This is the one point in your life where you will not know everything, and unfortunately, you never will. I remember my first day of school after I was assigned to my school. I went to visit. I walked into my classroom that only had 5 desks for the 30 students on roll. Old squeaky floors, old books, and a broken teacher's desk. I had to find out where I was going to get the 25 desks from, where the bathrooms were, who the teachers were on my team, who my lead teacher was, the school's expectations, where the parking lot was located, where do I sign in, what time does the building open or close, and most of all, when were we getting paid? In order to be successful, I had to locate a veteran teacher. After I found her, I was able to ask 1,001 questions, and I had my core members to rely on. I have learned to be self-reflective. Remember to always ask your administrators and find a mentor. Ask them how you are doing and ways you can improve. This will only make you a better teacher and help you get better results from your students. The last letter stands for love. Okay, I get emotional. Love is the characteristic that will keep you moving in the most difficult circumstances. And the source of my love is Jesus Christ. Love forgives a defiant student when they disrespect you. It drives you to make a home visit when you haven't seen a student in a few days. It reminds you of your relentless calling. In my experience, love for students makes you show up to school 5 days after having a C-section to update a tracker. It makes you skip lunch so you can learn how to do double dutch with your students at lunchtime. It compels you to comfort your students when you lose a student, R.E.A.L, who died in a house fire in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. Or when a mom with mental health issues murders one of your students, Kenny. It compels you to learn the art of cheerleading, to lead a middle school group of girls when you have never held a pom-pom. It compels you to coach a spelling bee team for hours after school so they can learn the spellings of over 10 different foreign languages and win the 5th grade school district of Philadelphia 5th grade league. It creates a seated Thanksgiving feast with turkey, stuffing, and all the fixings for a classroom of 35. It brings your classroom to your house for dinner on the Friday nights. It creates raps with hip-hop beats to help students memorize key mathematical concepts and comprehension strategies. It encourages the student who couldn't do her homework because someone was murdered on her front doorsteps. If you have love for this calling, it will bring you insurmountable amounts of joy. Our students need us to be real, relentless, expose them to the real world. Remember to ask and answer, ask questions and ask for help, and most of all, to show them love. These 4 concepts will make you successful and drive student achievement, and that is why I am proud to be a 2003 Teach for America core member.